I always review the First Amendment with people that I'm speaking with, the right to free speech, the right to the free press, to have your own religion and beliefs, and for the state not to impose their beliefs on you, the right to assemble and the right to petition. These are the basic rights. How can we change the world? How can we change things for the better if we can't use our free speech rights and our free press rights? My name is Beth Tinker, and I'm a registered nurse, but I spend most of my time traveling the country speaking to students, teachers, school board members, and others about students' rights.
In December 1965, Beth Tinker and some friends wanted to protest the Vietnam War. They decided to wear black armbands with white peace signs on them during school, starting on December 16, 1965, and ending on January 1, 1966. Tinker was in 8th grade in the Des Moines, Iowa public school system, and the group of protesters spanned from 13 to 16 years old. The principal of their school got wind of their protest a few days before it happened and preemptively banned the armbands. Students who came to school wearing them would be asked to remove them, and failure to comply would result in suspension. Beth Tinker and Christopher Eckhart went ahead with the plan and that wore their armbands to school on December 16th. They were suspended. Beth's brother, John, wore his armband the next day and was also suspended. The Tinker family sued the school under the protection of the First Amendment, or more specifically, the Free Speech Clause. The American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, represented the Tinkers and eventually took the case all the way up to the Supreme Court, where the court ruled on the side of the students. The case is a landmark decision that sets the precedent of the First Amendment protecting not only spoken speech, but symbolic speech. It also set the standard that students are still protected by the First Amendment in public schools. According to Justice Fortas, speaking for the majority, in the absence of a specific showing of constitutionally valid reasons to regulate their speech, students are entitled to freedom of expression of their views.
Yes, I'm still active now, and I like to encourage students that it's a good way of life. When you meet up with others and change things that could be better in the world, whether it's our inequality, our poverty, the environmental problems that we have. It's a good way of life to use your First Amendment rights and stand up to change things.
My name is Jim Dean, and I am the chair of Democracy for America. So we're an organization of about 1.2 million members all over the country, and primarily what we do is support activists in their efforts to support progressive candidates around the country. And part of that is also training, part of that is also lending expertise to different campaigns in their field programs, raising money for campaigns, but mostly helping activists do what they're doing to make their communities better.
Canvassing is going door to door and inspiring people to go out and vote for your candidate. The goal of the day was to support Hala Ayala for Virginia's House of Delegates.
Oh, I think it's extremely important. There's been a great deal of research on this, most notably by a guy named Donald Green, who was at Yale and Columbia and a few other places, and it proves overwhelmingly in some 150 control group studies that canvassing and then phone banking, that personal contact is by far the most effective way to persuade a voter either to vote for the candidate you're supporting or just go to vote.
Canvassing is important because there are so many issues that we want to improve on in our country and in the states, and so that's the way that we get people out to vote and to have a voice about the things that affect their lives. And it really helps to have that face-to-face contact and to tell people why I'm out standing up for Hala Ayala or some other candidate that is running. And I like to tell them that I'm a nurse and that I'm out here because I care about kids, and so I vote for the candidate that I think is going to be best for children and teenagers.
Hello, are you Irina Greenman?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hello, I'm Mary Beth, and I'm a volunteer with the Democratic Party here in Virginia, and I was wondering if we can count on your support for Hala Ayala this Tuesday.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
that'd be great. Have you heard of her?
Yeah, I've heard of her. It's great to see this. Thank you so much for coming out.
And we're also, of course, supporting the other Democrats who are on the ticket, such as the governor, Governor, Mr.
Lieutenant Governor,
and the new Lieutenant Governor,
Mark Herring for
Mr. Fairfax, all of them. So we can count on your support for all of them?
Absolutely, yes. I'm
Great.
planning on voting blue all the way down the ticket.
That's wonderful. A week from Tuesday?
Yeah.
Do you know what time of day you're going to be going?
I'm planning to get there probably early afternoon. That's usually the easiest time for me to get there.
Great. And do you have a way to get there?
Yeah, I'm planning to drive. My car's parked out front, so.
Okay, great. Well, it's nice talking to you.
Yeah,
and would you like to come out and volunteer between now and the election?
I actually already do some phone banking. That's I'm a disabled Democrat, which means that healthcare is a really important issue to me.
We're getting a lot of people not home because it's such a nice day. But you know, that happens. It's just part of it. Most people are very cordial and civil the way they talk to you. So it's great. I enjoy it. I think we made a difference today. We had 90 people gathered at a small house in Virginia, and that's where they went out from to talk to their neighbors and to talk to people about the issues that concern them, whether it's healthcare, education, transportation issues, and so much more. So I think we made a difference by reaching a lot of people today and reminding them that there's a vote coming up next Tuesday, and reminding them that there are people that care about it and that we're with you and that we're all in it together.
Why go to all this work to canvass for a state election? After 3 hours and 5 miles of canvassing in a dress and heels, what difference did we make? Why is this important? What happens when we don't care?
Hey, look, I'm president. I don't care. I don't care anymore. And Pocahontas is not happy. She's not happy. She's the worst.
When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
Replenish the
Such a nasty
trust fund.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're sending people that have lots of problems. And they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. Little rocket man, rocket fuel for the American economy.
Well, obviously, we're having a regression in this country, and it's really, I'm 63, so I can tell you this has been going on for a long time. When I say regression, I mean a return to elevating racism as a norm, which I never thought I would see in my lifetime. A return to a level of corruption in politics that I really am just appalled about. I think it's all of this is embodied by the current person in the White House.
I think one of the main issues we have is racial inequality. It's pretty hard to miss, and so I'm speaking up about that and encouraging schools to implement programs to address racism and feelings that haven't been resolved and that are still affecting people. But unfortunately, it is important, I think, for people even to be able to express their views that are distasteful, because as one Supreme Court justice said, the answer to hate speech is more speech. And I do believe that.
Politics is not a spectator sport, and we are lucky to have the right to be able to participate. The more we put in it, the more we get out of it, and the less we put in it, the better the chances we end up in a situation like we are in now. Polarization with basically somebody who is unfit to serve in the White House. If you want to avoid that the next time, vote, but also do something else and consider running for office. It's not that bad, and a lot of good people do it, and they make a lot of difference.
When you stand up for things that you believe in, it can only lead to good things, especially if those things are issues that, will make the world better, like clean air, clean water, good schools, having expanded healthcare, peace, instead of spending money on militarism all the time. These issues will make a better world when you take a stand about them. And is it going to help your future? Of course. It helps your future when you get involved and stand up and speak up for things that you care about. And you can feel like you're actually doing something to take history in the direction that you want. Because if you do nothing, history will be made. but it won't be the history that you want.